Hello, listeners. Welcome to the 5th ever episode of Commercial Minds.
5th episode!
Yep. My name is Tenny Cootie, and I'm joined by my very lovely co-host,
Modicator. Pleasure to be here with you guys again.
Yeah, it's great to have you all here.
Yeah.
So, Commercial Minds. Commercial Minds is a podcast that posts fortnightly, where we go through the biggest commercial news of the past 2 weeks and try to break it down, and we have a little discussion, and it's all great.
It's all great, just having fun whilst doing it as well.
Yep.
But how have you been, my friend?
Good. You know, I've been relaxing.
Bearing in mind, Daniel told us not to complain too much about uni in the last episode.
Yeah.
So,
I love uni. I'm glad actually you mentioned Daniel, because I want to say thanks again to Daniel Cash for the excellent interview he gave last episode.
Definitely.
So you can go check that out if you haven't already on the YouTube feed called Commercial Minds.
Yeah. What else would it be called?
I mean, our Twitter is called C Minds Podcast.
That's true. But that's because Twitter has all of those formality issues. So.
Yeah. We couldn't get the full Commercial Minds name, right? Word count? Not word count.
No, I think it was already taken. I don't know how, but I think it was.
I don't think it was. I checked, when I was, coming up with a name.
Yeah.
I, Googled around and, properly checked that, no one had Commercial Minds. I'm surprised because it's a great name if I do say so myself. I'm pretty proud.
It's a good name. Alright, Tenny, we get it.
Thank
you came up with the name.
I'd love to say it was a joint effort, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. My ideas were terrible. What did I... Do you remember some of the ideas I had?
What was it? It was, all of them had your name in.
No, but that's because this was when I had the idea and I didn't speak to you and figured out that you had... Wait, did we even tell the listeners about how the idea came to...
I think we did on the first episode.
Okay, good. But yeah, that was before I clocked that you had the similar idea to me as well. So,
yeah,
they were very corny names, so let's not bother going through those.
Indeed. But how have you been, actually?
I've been great. Just trying to live life. Just trying to live life to the fullest and balance all the different aspects of life, I guess. Falling a bit short on the academic side, but I'm gonna start picking it up soon because exams are coming and got one final piece of coursework. So just loving it, man.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Good luck. I hope you do great in your coursework.
Yeah, hopefully, and you too.
Which one is it? Taught, right?
Yeah, the taught one.
Okay.
It's a mammoth of a scenario, but it's calm.
I do human rights. So I've got 2 more pieces of coursework.
You've got 2 more. How much? What's the word count for the second?
Well, one of them's a group task. One of them's an individual task. I can't remember the word counts for the different ones, but
I hate group tasks.
It's not too bad actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess it's all the communication and the logistics. That would be the wrong word, I guess. But that side of it, and if you have one person slacking, it can just destroy the whole thing.
I think I'm really lucky in that no one in my group is slacking.
Yeah.
The biggest obstacle we've had is actually trying to meet up because we're all so busy.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a time where everyone is available to come to uni.
So, can I ask you a question? Would you recommend, because I think 3rd year we have the option to do it. I do because I didn't do it for 2nd year.
Yeah, international human rights.
Yeah, would you recommend it?
I would recommend it. I think it's a really good subject that you don't see much because when people think about law, they think about contract law, commercial law, land law, those sorts of things which are important. Mm-hmm. But I really think that being able to understand things like the UN and the UPR and understanding how...
What does the UPR stand for, sorry?
Universal Periodic Review. That's essentially a body that reviews the human rights obligations of different countries. Yeah.
I did not know that. How often?
It's every few years, so it goes in cycles.
Wow.
So, Yeah, and essentially, like, you learn things like that, and things are, like, applicable, like, not just in a law degree, but just, like, to understand, international
life,
human rights. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds great. Who teaches it? Is it Jonathan?
No, it's Gayatri.
Gayatri. Oh, okay. And, don't want to get too much into this topic, but just one last question, because I'm actually considering it. But, so we did constitutional and administrative with Jonathan, which touched a little bit on the ECHR and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what's been the assessment? How have they assessed you, and how have the lecture styles been?
Lectures have been really good.
Yeah.
Seminars have been really good. Really sort of like relevant to the actual topic, because it's all coursework.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, sounds great.
But anyway.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
Today is Corona Watch. Coronavirus Watch.
Corona Watch.
Corona Watch. If I have the time, I'm going to like put in like a little theme tune, like a little news bulletin type thing.
Go for it. That sounds great.
But yeah.
Coronavirus, I mean, why wouldn't we talk about that? It's everywhere. And the impacts, I mean, we spoke a little bit about it with Daniel.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, but since then, the developments.
Mm-hmm. On that episode, I remember saying, I don't think it'll be a big deal. I think it'll get cleaned up by the time we do the next episode.
Yeah.
Because I didn't foresee it being such an epidemic, but it really is. And I tried, like, in planning the show, I looked around and tried to, like, have, like, a break from coronavirus, because that's all the news stories are talking about. So I was thinking, okay, our podcast will touch on it, but it won't be solely focused on coronavirus.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, it's pretty much all coronavirus.
Yeah.
Because that's all that's happening lately.
I mean, if you don't mind me going into this, you were talking to me about the personal impacts that it's had on you so far. What were the things you mentioned?
This virus has ruined my plans for 2020. I wanted to go to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore. Well, it's still on.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't go.
There's still...
Yeah.
Wow.
MCM Comic-Con in Birmingham is still going on, as far as I know.
When is it? How far is it from now until when it goes on?
It's at the end of the month, I think.
I mean, there's... No, if they were going to cancel it, they would have done it.
Yeah, they definitely would have done it by now.
Yeah.
We're going to touch on some like events that have been cancelled when we like get to the end of the show. But yeah, the James Bond film that I was really anticipating has been pushed back to November.
Yeah, that
rather than April.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel Craig's last film.
I know. Oh my goodness, he has done. You know what? At the start, I hated him the most.
Of course he did.
Why do you say that?
Because you have bad taste in film.
Whoa! I did media studies in A-level, my good friend. I will not take that. It's not relevant, but I'm still going to use it. But no, I thought Pierce Brosnan was better, but now I see definitely Daniel Craig is way better.
Yeah.
And I think he's done the most films.
No, I think someone's done 8. He's only done 5, I think. Well, this would be a 5th one coming out now.
Not Clooney. What am I saying? Not Clooney.
George Clooney was not James Bond.
Shut up. I know that. Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Might have been it because he did it for a long time. I'm not sure. But yeah.
Yeah. What else?
What's the...
the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Right. So, this isn't confirmed, but apparently... The coronavirus, because obviously it originated in China, that's where like most of your electronics are being manufactured. And this year is supposed to have the release of the next generation consoles of the PlayStation 5 by Sony and the Xbox Series X by Microsoft. But because of coronavirus, it's really likely that these consoles will get delayed. And my PS4 is slow.
Wow, you have been completely fine with your PS4 until now, but as soon as you hear about the PS5, you want to start talking about the PS4 like that. I mean, were you absolutely sure you were going to get it when it comes out? Because usually with these things, sometimes you wait a couple months or...
Yeah, this is like... with the PS3, I got it like 4 years into its life cycle.
Yeah.
With the PS4, I waited a year.
Yeah.
With the PS5, I was going to get it like soonish. Obviously, it hasn't been announced yet. So depending on what it launches with, what games, all of that.
It looks great though. The design and the concept. I think they leaked like a video.
That's not real.
Oh, that's fake.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything real from it yet.
Oh.
We've seen the dev kits, which they give to like the game developers.
Okay.
And those are like essentially they never end up looking like what the actual console looks like.
Okay.
So I wouldn't really take anything from that. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that's sad. I'm sad now.
Yeah. Just making you talk about it just But what's the first story anyway?
Yeah. So the actual news that we're going to talk about. The first news story isn't actually about coronavirus. So the first story comes from the Financial Times and BBC News. Exeter-based UK airline Flybe has officially entered administration after failing to secure a £100 million investment from the government. You may remember that we discussed this story about a month ago in episode 3, when the investment was proposed. Officials from Whitehall have claimed that their rejection was due to a failure to meet certain conditions set by the government in order to actually receive the funding. The failure to secure the investment, coupled with the crippling impact of coronavirus on the airline market, has hastened the demise of the company and put over 2,000 jobs at risk, with an undisclosed amount of people left stranded across the country. Luckily, Flybe mainly carries out domestic flights rather than international ones, but those stranded across the country will need to find their own ways home. The airline has been struggling since 2010, as it tried to expand but didn't receive increased demand from the consumer, meaning that it had a fleet of aircraft that it could not fly but still needed to pay for, which is a large reason why it's in this scenario in the first place. And it's been struggling since 2010 for about a decade.
That's quite a long time. I thought this was very recent, but
nope. Flybe has been around for 40 years.
Yeah. And
for a quarter of that, they've been like struggling.
Wow.
Recently, they were bought by Connect Airways, which is like a sort of conglomerate of like a bunch of different investment banks and all of that.
Yeah.
And they put over £135 million into the airline since like January last year.
Yeah.
And it's still
not done. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned a little bit about the crippling effects of coronavirus on the airline market. Can you just go a little bit more into that? Because I honestly don't know. I don't know too much about the impacts it's had on the airline, but I know obviously traveling, you can't traveling as much.
So yeah, I'm sure all of our listeners are aware, like if you've been watching the news, that there's like states of emergency and people are being sent home, offices are being closed and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, people naturally, because of the way the virus spreads, which people are pretty much aware of, is like through contact with other people. People are trying to like avoid going to public gatherings. Being trapped on an airplane is like one thing. Going abroad where like the virus may be more
This makes sense.
Yeah, it's like more prevalent in other areas. I think in Europe and Italy there's been quite a few cases.
Italy has been greatly affected. I think the Serie A, the professional football league they have there, the games have pretty much been all shot to the fans. It's all behind closed doors now because the spread has just been ridiculous over there.
Yeah, again, largely because, you don't want to have all those people in that one area because that's how viruses spread. So that's why people have not been really booking flights or going on the flights that they have booked because it's dangerous. Which is why, like, if you go and look for a flight to, say, Rome right now, it's going to be dirt cheap because no one is going, basically. But yeah, so the crippling impact of coronavirus on the market.
I mean, I don't want to risk it, but if it's going to be cheap,
it might not be worth it.
True.
But yeah, so the sort of travel industry, the tourism industry is like really struggling, and obviously tertiary to that is the airline industry, who is also struggling. And Flybe aren't the only ones suffering from this at all.
It's quite interesting to now think who is going to pick up, because regionally, like you mentioned, they are mainly regional based rather than international. And the flights that they did, the routes they were doing were quite important, So I cannot think of another name that does regional flights off the top of my head that's going to pick up that slack.
Solely regional flights? No. I mean, if you look at sort of the airports that specialize in like regional flights, like say Southampton, Exeter, Belfast City, those airports, 90% of the flights that leave those airports were Flybe flights.
Yeah. Wow.
So I think in Southampton, Southampton Airport, 90% of the flights that left were operated by Flybe.
Wow.
With Exeter and Belfast City airports, 80% of the flights that left were operated by Flybe.
Wow.
And this just shows you, like, the sort of hold that they had on this niche market of traveling from, say, like, Southampton to a small airport in Scotland, or going from, like, a small airport in Wales to, like, London or Stansted or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it will be interesting to see how they will respond. Do you think the bigger giants like EasyJet will perhaps start doing those routes? But I've heard, I mean, on the news this morning when they were discussing the topic, there's just not enough in it for them to start doing those routes.
Exactly.
So we could see
it's a different business model when you're working on like such shorter, like British Airways focuses on like what, 6-hour flights, 4-hour flights, 8-hour flights.
Yeah.
Going from Southampton to Belfast City is probably what, like less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's a very different business model, and which is why I don't think that, like, definitely right now we're not going to see another airline expand into this market, this sort of niche, sort of regional flight market, because no one's taking flights right now. But when/if coronavirus actually gets like sort of contained, someone will have to sort of take up the market. If there's a demand, then it'll be fulfilled.
Yeah, definitely.
But it just depends, like, by who. And I think another relevant factor in this discussion is HS2 and high-speed rail and sort of the proliferation of, like, a greater, stronger rail infrastructure.
Yeah, definitely true. It could address the issue on a very minor level, though. So that's the thing. I mean, it's tough times ahead for, you know, those people traveling from, I think it's southeast and from, you know, up north, those areas. Very tough times. But 2,000 jobs at risk.
They're going to try and get these people, like, into other airlines.
That's good.
But again, like, what are these vacancies with this current sort of situation? I don't know that all of these people will find new jobs in this industry, which is sad to hear.
Yeah. In terms of the undisclosed amount of people left stranded, I heard on Wake Up to Money that what they're doing is basically trying to negotiate with other airlines to allow their tickets to be used for their flights. So if that is sorted, then that can be a good way of.
In my latest research, that hasn't happened.
Okay.
In my latest research, some rail operators that like operate in the country have offered free transport to stranded Flybe customers and staff.
Yeah.
So if you sort of flash your like ticket, if any of our listeners are, you know, stranded with Flybe, if you flash your ticket to some of the trains that are operating outside of your airports, then they may be able to let you on and take you wherever you need to go.
Yeah.
Another notable thing is that the Civil Aviation Authority has not attempted to coordinate people's return. With the Thomas Cook collapse, they worked to get back like 150,000 people.
But then again, I guess with Thomas Cook being a larger airline, and they did the...
Well, Thomas Cook isn't an airline, it's a travel agency.
Oh, travel agency, sorry.
Wait, is it an airline?
I'm not sure now. You put me in two
I don't think it is.
Yeah, but anyway, they were on a larger scale model than Flybe, you could argue.
Yeah.
So
they were sending people all across the country, the world, not the country. Yeah.
So I can see why they would need to step up. But yeah, like you said, these are more regional flights, so you can just get a train. I hope that doesn't sound unsympathetic, but yeah, it's not quite on the same scale as someone stranded in Cyprus or.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think a train from like the middle of Scotland to like London would be like 8 hours.
It's very long.
Yeah, it's long, but it's not like you'll be able to get home, I think.
Yeah. Good luck to any of our listeners in that predicament. Good luck. And
yeah, I did hear someone stuck in Paris though.
Wow.
Yeah. So they do like some flights that go sort of like to.
I'm guessing Paris, Amsterdam, and stuff.
Yeah.
Close by.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
But Flybe was once responsible for 40% of all domestic UK flights, and they transported over 9 million passengers annually. Now,
it's sad to see. They had such a big influence and a stronghold, you could argue, and it's just puzzling to see it all just dissipate.
Yeah, because they were a massive part of this like niche sort of domestic flights. But again, I think with the sort of development of like HS2 and those sorts of things that will be done in like say 2030, I'm not sure how many airlines will try and fill this void, knowing that it will be essentially redundant for them within the next say 10-15 years.
I definitely hear what you're saying, definitely. Because that's essentially what HS2 has been put into. Well, if that gets done anyway.
Yeah.
There's always changing of plans for that one, so we'll see. Yeah.
HS2 is planned to go from London to Birmingham, and then I think to Manchester and Leeds as well.
You know what? I see the logic in doing the London to Birmingham link first.
Yep.
But if it's been put in place, isn't it more for those further out in the north? So wouldn't you prioritize getting that link sorted first? That was just something I was thinking about. Because now those links are at risk because you're already spending so much money on putting these links in place, these shorter links, that now you're kind of, it's jeopardizing the other links, which are more expensive, you could argue. So.
Yeah, I think a large reason of why they did it the way they did was to take the pressure off London. London is like packed, like that's where everything is. But I think they realized that like the housing situation there is becoming untenable. People like professional people with jobs are struggling to make rent because of the cost of living there.
Yeah.
So I think that when you take some of these sort of high profile companies and maybe you take them away from London and put them in Birmingham, or you enable people to live in Birmingham and work in London, it will sort of hopefully balance the two things out.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then eventually connect out to Manchester and Leeds, so then like it's just easier for everyone to get around.
Definitely.
But again, that doesn't connect to Scotland, so.
Yeah, that's the thing. I also heard there was, I think, a proposal or concept of building a bridge between Northern Ireland and Scotland, I believe. Yeah.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
But again, that'd still be like quite a long drive, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. So,
Yeah, we'll see. I think most people, if you want to go from like Scotland to Northern Ireland, you take a ferry, right? So, yeah.
Sure.
Our second story comes from The Guardian, and this actually is related a bit more directly to the coronavirus. So, the ITV, originally known as Independent Television, is forecasting a drop of 10% in their advertising revenue in April due to the travel industry pulling their adverts due to the coronavirus. As the fear of the virus spreads and people start to avoid unnecessary contact with others, the travel industry has pulled advertising spending, given that people are less likely to go on holiday with the virus still posing a threat. Initially, the channel or the group had predicted an increase of 3.3% for this quarter. However, it's near guaranteed to be well below this. Shares in the group fell by 8.5% to £1.02, which is the lowest it's been in 7 months. Furthermore, this impact is not exclusive to ITV, as any channel that relies on advertising income is sure to feel a reduction due to the travel industry pulling their adverts.
Well, coronavirus is just making our lives more rosy.
It is. You really don't realise the wide-reaching effects something like this would have until you see it. Yeah,
I definitely agree. I think because the MERS and the SARS, I didn't really hear that much about before.
Yeah,
but it is weird because when I first heard of it, I just thought more on the health level. You know, people potentially dying and prescription costs and stuff, but medicine and stuff like that. But you just don't contemplate the wider economic impacts until it's actually in full swing. I think that's been the biggest eye opener for me of this virus, and it's doing massive damage economically.
Yeah, exactly. I would have never guessed that the TV industry would be damaged because of a worldwide virus, you know?
It's so weird. But the thing I'm also struggling with is how will this play out? I think that's the thing, the uncertainty of not knowing what will happen, how this will be contained. I think that's the biggest concern. So like you mentioned with James Bond being postponed and possibly PS5 or the next generation game also being postponed, it's that uncertainty of not knowing whether it's been handled effectively that's making businesses on edge.
Yeah, the stock markets are really tumbling right now because of this uncertainty.
Exactly. So it is really going to be interesting how that maps out. But so let's see what they may be able. So you mentioned how they may be able to offset the loss with BritBox. So I've heard about BritBox. Wasn't too impressed.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, essentially the BBC and ITV have joined together to create their own streaming service called BritBox, in the same vein of Netflix, where they'll both have their shows available for streaming online. Originally, this took them 10 years to put together.
Wow.
Just because the UK competition authorities were like, hey, you guys are the two biggest TV channels in the UK. You shouldn't be, joining together to do this. But eventually they made it happen. Yeah. It's not impressive.
It's really not.
No.
I mean, the best show they're going to have with it is Gavin and Stacey. Or something. But, yeah, from a competition point of view, actually, how did they get that deal together?
How did they get it together?
Yeah.
That's something we can discuss next episode.
Oh, definitely. See what we're doing? We're just teasing you guys here.
But just in the terms of this current story that we're talking about, the travel industry has pulled their adverts. People aren't taking flights. We've seen that impact Flybe. Thomas Cook, if it lasted through to the end of 2019, definitely wouldn't have lasted to now because of all this.
Definitely, yeah.
You gotta wonder, when are companies gonna start letting people go? Because we don't again, it's to do with the uncertainty thing. Like, we don't know how long this will last. We just need to, like, have, either doctors to come up with, like, a cure or a vaccination, or we need for it to at least be contained. Once it's contained and people are confident that it's contained, we can then start to, start going on holidays again.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, this summer's going to be really weird. Because this is the period where people book summer vacations.
Summer vacations, yeah. But, hey. We're just going to have to enjoy British sunshine for the first time.
I mean, I don't leave my house anyway, so...
Yeah, I mean, the summer can just be used for gaming and stuff, so...
Exactly.
I don't think there'll be as many barbecues and just random park raves and stuff like that. You know the ones I'm on about, like
yeah. I mean, there might be just because people will be more encouraged to like stay in like their own sort of areas and rather than traveling to different countries.
Yeah. That's actually making me think. What about when does Wireless usually happen?
What do you mean wireless?
Wireless, the festival.
Oh, the music festival.
Yeah, when is it? It's quite far. Is it end of the year? It's near end of the year.
I have no idea.
But that's going to be hugely impacted. Well, could potentially be impacted by this.
Yeah, definitely. Again, like large gatherings of people.
Yeah.
Like I don't think wireless has that great hygiene anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, because like
nothing to lose anyway.
It's like a multiple day event and people just like sleep in like tents and stuff.
True.
Like really packed together. So I don't see that happening.
Or even carnival.
Yeah.
Notting Hill Carnival.
Yeah. I went to Notting Hill Carnival last year.
Really?
Hated it.
Yeah, that's why I never went. It just seemed you're on your feet all the time. You're bumping into people all the time saying, "Excuse me," and there's just it doesn't seem like a fun experience.
That amount of people trapped into one place just gives me tremendous anxiety.
Yeah,
and like trying to find your way out, you can't escape.
No, definitely.
You really can't escape. But I don't want to go too off topic.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to note how like important diversification is for large corporations.
Yeah.
Like we made fun of BritBox, but
no, we did. It was just constructive criticism.
You made fun of BritBox. But one of the great things about BritBox is that it doesn't rely on advertising dollars or pounds. Get
it together, Tony. Get it together. We're in the UK. You're not in New York anymore.
Their streaming service relies on actual subscriptions from the user. Therefore, when we have a virus and people don't want to, and people aren't when ITV isn't getting advertising money from the travel industry, they're still going to get streaming money directly from the consumer.
True.
So I think that this is just one example of why, diversification, not just being, a sort of, scheduled channel on, your TV, but having, this other revenue stream has, really sort of helped ITV at this point.
I'm just going to drop a quick nugget of golden advice, and I learned it from my good friend Warren Buffett, and
your personal friend,
my personal close friend, and it's basically don't put your eggs all in one basket, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of investment, that's what they always say. Don't put your eggs all in one basket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It goes to your point what you're saying about the diversification. So yeah.
Yeah. Shares fell by 8.5% for ITV. It could have been significantly more had they not had this other revenue stream. That was, I think, they've said it's successful for them. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how things pan out.
We will see, indeed.
Is that your catchphrase? I've actually noticed you do that sometimes.
Do what? Say indeed a lot.
Just the pause. And stuff.
I don't.
Okay. Maybe what I'm trying to say is make it a catchphrase. It's quite.
It's just my podcasting style, The third story. Okay, so the third story comes from the Financial Times. The Competition and Markets Authority has warned retailers not to increase the price of hand sanitizer, face masks, soap, and other products as a response to coronavirus fears. On Amazon, we've seen that a 600 milliliter bottle of hand sanitizer can cost up to £129.
Sure.
Face masks have also been increased by 2,000% in some cases. The Competition and Markets Authority Chief Executive Andrea Costelli said, "We urge retailers to behave responsibly throughout the coronavirus outbreak and not to make misleading claims or charge vastly inflated prices."
This is so funny. It's like retailers are just like, yes, we can overprice, and now the authorities are like, behave yourself. Just
Yeah, exactly.
Behave yourself, because 600 milliliter bottle, £129.
That's excessive.
That's excessive. So it's kind of a double whammy. Now that it's spreading, we can't protect ourselves because of how expensive it is. But the thing is, they have said retailers need to behave, but realistically, how true will this message stick with retailers? That's the thing.
They've threatened to, well, not threatened, but like they've said that they will like be taking some people to like court, issuing fines, that sort of thing, because this is like a public health like crisis essentially,
True.
and you don't want to
make it less accessible to
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Just to sort of clarify for people who may not know, the Competition and Markets Authority is essentially a UK government body that ensures that like competition amongst like retailers and sort of the market is fair, so that we don't have, say, for
A 600 milliliter bottle for £129.
exactly, yeah. It ensures that like prices are fair and that they're not excessive, and it stops like two mega corporations like say Tesco and Asda getting together and potentially saying, hey, let's put a minimum of £60 for hand sanitizer during this coronavirus issue. It ensures that like things stay reasonable essentially.
Yeah, definitely. But I see what they're trying to do, but I'm just thinking realistically, because demand has risen a lot. That's the truth. So it's just going to be interesting to see how they get retailers to rein it in and behave responsibly, I guess. Because at the end of the day, business sense would actually tell you to protect your bottom line as well. But
Exactly.
it's a strict balancing act, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think not to just focus on like the retailer sort of perspective, but from the wholesaler perspective as well. In that like the Competition and Markets Authority isn't just stopping the retailers, but it's also saying to the wholesalers, hey, like once like your deals are up and you want to like restructure a new deal, you can't charge 200% for what you used to charge for hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, it's important to focus on the wholesaler as well.
Yes.
In the sense that, like, you can't sort of stop the retailer from making a profit, essentially.
Definitely true. Yeah. You have to take care of all bases of the process.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially, yeah.
Exactly. And we've seen some excessive prices on Amazon and eBay.
Yeah.
No, eBay. Yeah.
Definitely. I was thinking of getting a bottle of hand sanitizer, and I think I might just keep using the ones they have located around campus.
What was it, £17 for like a 60 milliliter bottle?
It's quite ridiculous.
That was crazy. I saw
What?
I saw what was it? What was the phrase, like second hand or second hand hand sanitizer on eBay?
Oh, this one just sells second-hand hand sanitizer. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, we're laughing. It's a very serious issue.
No, it's just the concept of selling. I bet it's diluted with water or something. It's not
Exactly, yeah.
full hand sanitizer, but
Yeah, we don't necessarily want to be using second-hand hand sanitizer.
yeah.
We have to pay for shipping as well.
It's you know what? It reminds me of the what's that brand that that really popular brand, Red Theme, Supreme. You know,
Yeah.
the Supreme hype when people would, because they, you know, the demand was so large and people would buy it and just sell it for ridiculous prices at times. It just reminds me of that, and it's weird how we have a culture for this thing now.
Well, you guys have a culture. I'm not.
No, it's true though. It's true. We do. People try to make the best out of any situation now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
What about sort of like worldwide sort of imports of like hand sanitizer and that sort of thing, like face masks?
What do you mean, sorry?
Just in terms of the story, like
Yeah.
the CMA has basically told like UK retailers, hey, normal prices.
Yeah.
I think this will have an impact. Like, well, actually, might not, because I was just going through it in my head. Like, well, online and like worldwide, there will be like, well, in my head, I thought that there would be like people sort of importing like hand sanitizer at like a super high cost or something like that, and then like retailers have to like, or like a super low cost, and then like retailers will like have like a price war and everything. But that probably wouldn't happen, just because they're probably selling all their hand sanitizer to the country that it was made in anyway. Because coronavirus is like a worldwide thing at this point.
Yeah. No, I do see your point now.
Yeah, that's probably like a bad way of explaining it. But
No, you got there.
But yeah, I think the only place that isn't affected by coronavirus at this point is Africa.
No. Why did you say it like that?
No, just...
A lot of people, no, let's keep it real. A lot of people are like surprised on social media and you see saying... The truth is, if it were to break out as it has done in other parts of the world, it would be devastating on Africa. So it's good that it's being kept at bay so far, but at the same time, it's weird seeing people that, oh, Africa doesn't have it. That's a bit weird.
Yeah, no, I think it is like, again, the way it travels is, you know, through essentially tourism and people moving around, and Africa, like, Africa has tourists, but I think like the UK would have like more.
Yeah.
America would have more.
Yeah.
Other places have more. So
yeah, no, I definitely hear your point. And in terms of tourism, Africa is just North Africa, South Africa,
yeah,
and West sometimes. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sorry to the East Africans, but I just don't hear of people going to East Africa for days. Except if you're from there. But yeah.
Fourth story. Now, our fourth story is a weird one because our fourth story comes from every news website, which is essentially just...
Guess what it's about?
Coronavirus. What a surprise.
Yeah.
Essentially, I just wanted to talk about some of these headlines I've seen about coronavirus just on every random website, essentially. So, yeah, just to end the show, essentially, just, you know, random headlines.
Yeah.
Domino's is stockpiling ingredients in the face of coronavirus. I think we all can't live without a pizza.
Yeah, but people don't. Domino's is 40 hours. Sure.
True. Domino's, not that good.
It's not that good, yeah.
It's really not
I think
like...
Caspian's is better.
Nah, it's inconsistent. Caspian's is horribly inconsistent.
Then who? Who do you get your pizza from, Liz? Who do you get your pizza from, usually?
Domino's, yeah. But
you just said this. Sorry, I just sent a rather large spitball to one. It didn't reach you. It just fell short. But no, you just said Domino's is not that great.
It's not that great, but I'll
you're
still go there.
I'll
still go there because it's the only place that delivers to my address.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Pizza Hut doesn't. I haven't tried Caspian, to be fair.
Caspian's is nice.
But yeah, no, most places don't deliver to my address, so Domino's is basically what I'm stuck with.
Oh, don't say it like that.
But their sides, though. Their sides, though.
Oh, yeah, true.
They have good sides.
Yeah. I mean, So do you reckon a lot of their competitors will be doing the same thing as well?
I reckon, yeah. I think this, like we make fun of it because it's pizza.
Yeah.
But essentially, like, these companies can't stop running because of the coronavirus.
Yeah, definitely.
So they need to ensure that they have the ingredients so that they can keep, like, producing and keep making a profit.
Definitely true.
I mean, I don't know how many people will, like, be buying pizza in the situation where the world is so bad that we can't, like, import ingredients and stuff like that, but...
It's just good to have in the locker, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think they're referred as the bricks and mortar retailers, the ones that don't have much of a online presence. Basically, that's what it means. They're just a shop on the main street. They're going to suffer a lot from this coronavirus because not a lot of people are going out to people are not going out because of fears, firstly. And secondly, now they need to get their goods mainly from, a dominant economy like China. And it's just going to be a struggle. So it just shows again, online retailing taking the, having the last word, I guess.
Yeah.
Online retailing, as always. So it's going to be interesting.
Another headline I saw that was I thought was relevant. HSBC sends home London research staff after coronavirus case. So this was in Canary Wharf of all places.
Wow.
Which is bad.
Yeah.
Because Canary Wharf, for those who don't know, it's in London. It's like the hub of like all financial services and like big law firms and that sort of thing.
It's UK Wall Street, basically.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of they all essentially go to the same places for lunch, and like it's a very like condensed area.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just thought that was relevant to talk about. I guess.
I love it. And now, as I can see on the screen, it says Tenny talks about video games.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's not coronavirus, so hey, let's
No,
go
it
for
is.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it's all about. All these headlines I found were about coronavirus.
Okay.
But I think this may actually be a cool new segment we could do.
Okay.
Which is just like, we find some random headlines and just talk about them briefly at the end of the show. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you guys like it, you can let us know. If not, don't. But, yeah. So, the video game industry has been rocked by coronavirus. So every year there is a conference called GDC, which stands for Game Developers Conference. Essentially, game developers from all around the world will come to this one location in San Francisco. And it's a 3-day event. They go there and they share information about games. They share like techniques that they're using. Deals are struck up. People like get jobs. It's like I don't even know what to compare it to. It's like just a gathering of people from one industry, essentially. And that was cancelled, essentially.
Oh.
It was late.
Whoa, I was not expecting that outcome.
It was delayed because of coronavirus, because, again, having all these people come into one place, big issue.
How impactful is that conference in the gaming industry? Is it like a yearly thing?
Yeah, it's an annual thing. It's really important just in the sense like that's where like a lot of the backroom deals are sort of struck between developers and publishers. Like people will say, "Hey, will you like come see our game in this room? And if you like it, you can publish it."
Okay.
And that sort of thing. So it's kind of a big issue. It's been cancelled. Well, it's been like delayed.
Okay.
So they intend it to happen like later in the summer.
Yeah.
But again, like if coronavirus is still the epidemic that it is now, it'll just get delayed again. And so it's going to have a big impact on the video game industry. In that, like, we probably won't have games come out because they won't have people to fund the games because they haven't met up with the publishers.
Wow. I mean, from a commercial standpoint, I know Activision is quite a big... Are they a developer?
They're a publisher.
They're a pub... Oh,
So essentially,
is there one that's so strong, like their balance sheet is so strong that they can afford to do all parts of that process?
yeah, there are actually a lot of people who can do that.
Okay.
So essentially, a publisher, you don't need to be like massive to be a publisher. You just need to have enough money to essentially fund the game that you want to make.
Yeah.
So say like, even like a small sort of developer that say has like a £100,000 turnover could be a publisher for smaller like independent games.
Okay. Yeah.
So it just depends on like the way you want to actually take your company.
But why do you think most of them prefer to go through different publishers like Activision? Is it because of the reputation they have, I guess?
That, and also they can make deals with them.
Yeah.
So essentially it can be like, regardless of how our game sells,
Yeah.
if you publish us, we'll give you like a flat fee. So we'll give you like 30,000 no matter what you actually make on the game.
Okay.
So it can be a safety net for some developers to ensure that they don't run out of money.
Very true.
And they can go on and make another game again at the publisher.
I guess if you're big enough, though, you would want to keep that fee for yourself and just, if you're big enough, publish it yourself.
Yeah.
Is there? I'm not too knowledgeable on the gaming industry, but is Call of Duty, is that what is that?
So Call of Duty is actually
A brand is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's owned by the publisher Activision.
Also, they're owned by Activision itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Activision hires developers to go and make Call of Duty games.
So like Sledgehammer, I think that's one of them. Okay.
Sledgehammer, Treyarch.
Oh.
There's one more, Infinity Ward.
Oh.
So those are the three
Makes
developers
sense.
that they actually go and actually make the games.
Yeah.
Activision, as like a sort of as the publisher above them,
Yeah.
tells them what to do essentially.
Okay.
And we don't really know the exact details of whether they are like allowed to go or they can say no or whatever. So yeah.
Sounds great.
But
carry on, sorry.
But yeah, no. So that's kind of how the video game industry works.
Yeah.
In this commercial podcast.
Yeah. No, it's good though. It's good. Because not a lot of people know about the commercial side of gaming.
Yeah.
It's a very big commercial industry.
Yeah, video games make more money than like movies or TV combined.
Whoa.
Or music, actually. Yeah.
Whoa,
music,
whoa,
music,
whoa,
TV,
whoa.
and music combined.
No.
Yeah.
Even music.
Yeah.
I mean, movies I can understand, but even music.
Well, the thing with music is that now with like streaming and stuff, people aren't actually going to buy
it. True.
So it's all just like going to the streaming services and the actual artists get less money. But anyway, yeah, because obviously each game is sold for like more than one track or one album.
Yeah.
Or more than one movie ticket.
Yeah.
So there's just more money in the video game space than there is in those other spaces.
I mean, I might be going slightly a bit too much off topic, but in terms of game developers, apparently not their working conditions, but it can be a very arduous job, I've heard.
Yeah, because of the nature of game development, it's like anyone who's tried to like make any piece of art or something, it's like it's never really done. Like you can always keep going, you can always keep
because it's like a perfection game.
Exactly. So essentially the publishers or like the developers or like the leaders of the team anyway will have to like set like a date to say, hey, this needs to be done by this date. And then that results in something called crunch, which is where like you have to like get your head down, like people are working like
nights and
But
how much of the money the game makes goes to them? It doesn't sound like a lot.
Well, as most game developers are pretty well paid in that they make like six figures. Because there's like not many people in this industry.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be very talented to be in it, so they're naturally rewarded. And also people are motivated during crunch in that they get bonuses on the back of the game sales or the game's reviews.
Yeah.
So if this game says like gets like a 9 out of 10 or above, they get like bonuses. If it sells like over 3 million copies, they get bonuses. So they're encouraged to make it as good as they can so they can get that monetary reward.
Makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense.
So yeah.
No,
That's
I've actually enjoyed learning about the video game industry.
That's the impact of the video game of coronavirus on the video game industry.
Yeah.
And just one last thing. The way video games work is that, like, these conferences, there's a lot of handshaking, there's a lot of sharing controllers, there's a lot of putting on VR headsets.
Oh, now you make me scared. You know what? I went to an assessment day and I tried to give the woman a handshake and she said no.
Really?
Yeah. She said no, we don't do that. And I should have known though, because in this time there's a lot of paranoia about it. So
but if you're at an assessment day, I still think that you
was
would.
the dilemma. I know. To be fair, for the interviews, I still put my hand out, and mostly I got a handshake back.
Yeah.
But it was just weird that, like, stepping into that building, and the first thing I tried to do was shake someone's hand, and they said no.
Was it like a student, or was it someone who worked there?
It was someone who worked there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I did realize is companies are not putting down like a flat rule that applies to everyone. It's more of a personal preference.
Yeah.
So I knew for her, she just didn't want to, right? Because, some people have different levels of paranoia than others, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for the others, like the interviewers, they happily shook my hand. But for her, it was more, I don't want to risk it, which makes sense.
I think it'd be better to say no than shake your hand and then immediately pull out hand sanitizer.
Yeah,
So,
true. Well, that would be awkward.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah.
So,
it'll be interesting. I think if it gets bad, companies will definitely start putting down stuff like that.
Well, no, they'll just send people home.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs can be done, like, from home.
Yeah,
so.
true.
Yeah. But, that brings an end to Commercial Minds, episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
The coronavirus special. I think I might call it that.
Okay, yeah. No,
or, like, Commercial Minds episode 5, CoronaFever. No?
Yeah, I like that.
No?
No, I like that. I was thinking about it for a second, but I like it. It sounds good. The coronavirus special. If you do that, we might get no views.
Yeah.
But, no, we're joking, guys. Please listen.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we have. As usual, it's a pleasure having you guys here with us on this beautiful journey, just talking about different things. Really,
this beautiful commercial journey.
Just loving it. And as always, we always look forward to your feedback and your thoughts, and just hearing what positive and what negative you have to say, just to make it better. And as always, thank you. I'm Moducator. And
I'm Tenny Cutie. Yeah, and
is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, again, thanks for listening, guys and girls. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. It's important that we can grow the show and make more people commercially aware. So
leave a comment on YouTube. Yeah,
exactly.
Leave a comment, subscribe.
Share it on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah. Follow us on Twitter at C Minds Podcast.
Yep. That's the at, yeah.
We tweet stories that you might be interested in throughout the week, so...
Yeah, admittedly, though, it's been very coronavirus heavy recently. Yeah. But thank you guys very much. We hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you.